We are here with our administrator, Gregory Slater. Good afternoon.
How are you this afternoon?
Well, I'm well. We've been busy this past month, as always, but there are two things we wanted to highlight in this conversation. That's work zone safety awareness and the upcoming I-270 project. In regards to work zone safety, what are some of the dangers in the roadway work zone?
You are absolutely right that we are busy these days. We have this year and several more years, we're going to have some of the largest highway construction programs we've ever had. When you have a program like that, a lot of construction activity, work zones are prevalent. They're all over the state. They're in different parts of the state and in different locations, and some carry a lot of traffic and some don't. When you go into a work zone, what's really important is that you understand that there are changing conditions. There are different travel patterns. There are people working there every day. You may have lost a lane. You may have pulled lanes in. You may have barriers that are a little closer to the lane edge than normal, and a lot of moving dynamics. So what's important there is that we need everybody to pay attention as you go into those work zones, because it's not only the construction activity themselves, but it's about the changing dynamics of that construction zone and all the activity.
Now, what should motorists do when they're approaching these areas?
First and foremost, whether you're approaching the work zone or really any part of our highway system, always pay attention, be alert. But when you're in a work zone, it's really important that you pay extra attention and extra care to all the activity that's going on around you. So as these work zones are really mobile offices for many of our hardworking folks every day, those things are constantly moving. And when you're trying to maintain the important travel and important commerce in the state, at the same time you're making an improvement, there's a lot of dynamics at play.
Let's talk about the I-270 congestion relief project. What will be happening there in Montgomery County?
It's a really exciting project. It's a new way of doing business for us. We tried it. We were the first state in the nation to do it, and it's really going to introduce some new tools in the toolbox for us. So let me first talk about how we got here. We have studied, and I have studied I-270 personally for many, many years, and we've looked at small solutions where you can improve localized spots. We've looked at large multi-billion-dollar solutions to try and alleviate some of the travel concerns. The traffic on I-270, it has about 250,000 cars a day with a heavy directional commute that's coming down from the Frederick area and across the capital region every day and then going back north in the evening. So what we did here was we knew that we've looked at it in many different varieties. We also knew that we had a finite amount of money to address this issue. So what we packaged was the first one in the nation, a progressive design build project. And what that was we built a performance spec, who can move the most cars the furthest, the fastest. When you add furthest in there, what it does is it pushes a solution to relieve as much of the corridor as possible. But what that did was we laid a simple performance spec for $100 million with no scope at all. So what we did was we challenged the creativity of the private sector to bring us solutions that we didn't have before. And it was very simple. Whoever can make the most impact on that corridor for that $100 million is going to win the project. So what we found was the solution. We got a variety of solutions that came in and a variety of different strategies, some traditional, some non-traditional. The one that performed the most was a conglomeration of 13 different firms, local and national. Many of them have presence right here in Maryland. And it includes some hard infrastructure, some technology, and then really a good understanding of the travel patterns. So what this is going to do is there's several different elements to it that tend to layer on each other for the great benefit. So the first piece is the existing HOV lane. Move the existing HOV lane to an upgraded hard running shoulder. So what you do is you're running the high occupancy vehicle lane on the shoulder, and when you do that, that makes that high occupancy vehicle lane available for general traffic every day. The other piece is looking at 14 different bottleneck areas. And those bottleneck areas, what they do is they look at the travel patterns where people are getting on one interchange and getting off the next. What causes traffic at many times outside of just pure volume is the friction between traffic. People are merging, people are moving back and forth in lanes, and that causes challenges. So what this did was took those bottlenecks and created a series of local lanes and long distance express type lanes. So you could conceivably, with that heavy move, get on one interchange and get off the next and never actually have to merge into that long distance I-270 traffic. You can move that, and that really reduces a lot of the friction. The third piece of this is when you get down towards the southern part of the I-270 corridor, there's a section that you lose a lane and then you add a lane back. What this does is it takes the existing pavement and restructures that capacity by adjusting the lane widths and the shoulder widths so that you have that free-flowing capacity in the same amount of lanes all the way through. The third piece, or the fourth piece, is a technological component of that makes the whole corridor and the surrounding system much smarter. So when you're talking smarter, it's about adding sensors and managing the right kind of travel. So what this does is we've added sensors both to the I-270 main line. Those sensors monitor the traffic, the amount of trucks, and how the travel patterns are occurring on the corridor. And then we've added sensors on the ramps of all the interchanges. So they do two things. At the end of each ramp will be a meter. A meter will control the flow of traffic onto I-270. So the sensors on the corridor itself will actually trigger those controls to go on and off. So if traffic is flowing on I-270, there's not going to be any controls on the end of those ramps. If it's starting to back up, then those things will be controlled, and it'll look for gaps to platoon that traffic and put it out in a more controlled fashion. But at the same time, you don't want to impact the conditions on the surrounding system because it's all important. So what we have is sensors on the ramps. The sensors on the ramps will monitor traffic queuing up on the ramp waiting to enter I-270, and if it hits a certain point, it'll flush the ramp and allow people to merge. So what it does is it creates a maximized efficiency on the corridor itself by managing the flow of the traffic, specifically getting into travel patterns, and then specifically getting into the surrounding system and how that's functioning.
Now, why is this project so important?
It's important because of the sheer volume of traffic that we have. It's the most heavily traveled corridor we have in the state. Some of the solutions to really alleviate that congestion were very, very expensive and much more beyond our means that we have today. And we wanted to use this process to provide some relief in the short term. Provide some relief in the short term for the people that are driving that corridor today. Now, what kind of relief are we talking about? You're really talking about significant improvements. When we modeled this from a performance perspective, we found that the folks getting on around the Frederick area and traveling the entire corridor, we're going to see a 30-minute travel time savings for that whole commute down I-270. When you get on in the middle around 118 and 117, you're looking at a 15 to 18-minute commute. If you reduction. If you're getting on around 370 or before, it's around 5 to 10. So you're getting at real travel time savings throughout the whole corridor. When you're talking about a heavy directional split coming down with that volume of traffic every day from Frederick, 30 minutes is a lot more on your life that you can enjoy instead of sitting in traffic.
All right. Thank you so much for chatting with us. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.